Now, I, Vinay is going to explain about the chapter motion for class 9. It is chapter number 8. It is lesson number 1. It is lecture number 9. Today's topics are velocity time graph for zero acceleration, displacement time graph for negative velocity, velocity time graph for negative acceleration, displacement time graph for measurement of two different bodies which have velocities, velocity time graph for uniform acceleration, velocity time graph for non-uniform acceleration. So first one, there is a velocity time graph for zero acceleration. If velocity time graph is a straight line which is parallel to the time axis, which represents that the velocity is in uniform motion as shown in the figure 1. If the velocity, this is the velocity time graph, and this graph is, suppose this graph is AB, this graph AB is parallel to the time axis. This explains about the velocity is constant. Velocity is constant. Velocity is not changing with respect to time. So we can say what key acceleration, because the velocity time graph which explains about the acceleration. The acceleration is it has no slope. The acceleration of it is 0, because the slope of the graph is, it has no slope, so acceleration is 0 there, where a is the notation for the acceleration. So in velocity time graph, if graph is parallel to the time axis, so acceleration will be 0. Now the second one, displacement time graph, the straight line sloping downward, the straight line sloping downwards represents the velocity. The body is in motion. The body is in motion, uniform motion with the negative velocity. Because displacement time graph which shows about the velocity, if the graph is sloping downward, graph is sloping downward, it is what? It is a graph for the negative velocity. So we represent this is going downward, so it is velocity, it has velocity, but it is negative, it is not positive. The slope of the graph for the velocity which is negative. Now the third one, the velocity time, in the velocity time graph, straight line sloping downward represents that the body is in uniformly accelerated motion. It has uniformly accelerated motion with negative acceleration, which has been given in the figure. This is the velocity. Velocity is decreasing with the time continuously, so it has acceleration. This acceleration is negative, it is not positive. It has the acceleration is uniformly decreasing towards with the graph towards downward. So the slope of the graph gives retardation. Now it is given the displacement time graph for two straight lines intersecting at a point, representing motion of the two bodies, with one having higher slope and other one having the less slope, which is given in the figure. The two are given. Here is the slope for object which is having velocity. It is displacement time graph. So these two graphs which are showing for the velocities. So it is the graph for the body A, that is the graph for the body B, whose slope is more, which has more velocity, whose slope is less, which has less velocity. So you can say the velocity of A is more than the velocity of B as shown in the figure. So we can say the slope of graph A, the slope of graph for body A is more than the slope of graph of body B. Hence the velocity of body A is more than the velocity of body B. So VA is greater than VB. VA is greater than VB. Here it is given. Here the graph, it is not A, it is B, it is A, because the slope, we can say this slope, suppose it is angle A, it is angle B, or it is angle A. So angle A is greater than angle B. So we can say velocity of A is more than velocity of B. So it is correct now. Okay, the slope of the object who graph of a body whose velocity body A whose graph is more than the slope of the graph for body B. Hence the velocity of a body A is more than the velocity of B. Now here it is given the velocity time graph for uniform acceleration. It is the velocity time, this is the graph it is given. Here the time axis is t1 and t2. Here is u or v. This is the graph. This is the graph for uv. So we can say it is what CA is the graph and B is given here as point. So we have to draw a line which is parallel to this axis, drop to perpendicular, so it is t1 and t2, and then here it is. So what is the value for AB? Here from 0 to C its value is u, and from 0 to A here is. So here is 0 to A, it is V. So we take the difference of them, it has come u minus V. And here it is, at this point we will take time t1, it is for t2. And here from it will become t. So from O to here, that is t. So we can say the slope AC. This is the slope of the graph which is AC. Slope AC is equals to acceleration, and A is equals to AB. A is equals to, here is what? It is AB, and AB upon, this is given OT, that is BC, we can say. This is BC, and this BC, it is equals to OT. So we can say A is equals to AB upon BC. This AB, this is the graph AB, and that says BC, and BC value is T. Here it is given as also T. This is T. So A is equals to AB upon BC. We can say A is equals to V minus U upon T. So we can say AT is equals to V minus U. So V is equals to U plus AT. This is what the first equation of motion. So the acceleration of the body can be calculated from the slope of the graph. The slope of the graph we can calculate the acceleration, and displacement of the body can be calculated under the area of the graph. So this area what is coming, this area we can find out as the displacement. The velocity time graph which gives the area which gives the displacement. The displacement is equals to velocity into time. The last one, the velocity time graph for non-uniform acceleration. In this acceleration of an object moving along a straight line is not constant. So the velocity time graph is not a straight line. The graph which is representing the motion in which the acceleration increases with the time. Here it is the velocity time graph. The graph is non-uniform. So here is what the acceleration. It has acceleration. Its acceleration is increasing. It is non-uniform. It is variable acceleration. Here the graph shows about the variable acceleration. This is the graph for the variable acceleration. So it is all about it. Next time I'll explain the rest part of it. Thank you very much.